Welcome back. I'm Tom Winkler, creator of Whack Your Boss and Doodieman. And look who I'm drawing now, Doodieman. And I'm going to draw three of them. And we've got him now looking over to our right and being handed something. I'm going to fill that in later. But for now, I just want to get the eye line, see if it looks right, where it's placed, where his eye is looking. And I like keeping things generally very loose. And so his hand here is just a quick scribble. That yellow line behind him is called the line of action or the gesture. It helps to give him a nice curve so that he has life, so he has personality. And it helps his whole body bend from his eyes down his chest and then back all the way down his legs. I had to make him a little smaller there to fit in his legs. Here I draw the flesh tone lips on the layer behind him. Here, if you know on Procreate, this is sometimes there's a little hole in the black lines where the red escapes. But if you press and slide, you can control it, and that blue line shows you as you slide to the left and right, he'll fill correctly or it'll overfill. The D, I draw plenty of them, and they also, I try to get them to go on the same curve as the line of action because he's round, everybody's round, and you want to have things feel like a volume, feel like they're really round. And so I want to have his white eyes really pop against the background. So play around with that blue sky so that we feel that there's a real difference between the blue and these nice bright white eyes. Who's next? Doodieman, standing proud. He's going to be handing something to Doodieman. And this again, this one yellow line, and all of this is designed to give the feeling of pride. Standing back, chest out. The legs will ultimately be bending around back just a little bit, coming to almost a point. We'll see how I do that in a moment. Here he is. He's holding the plate of something, and that's going to be perfectly aligned with the eyeballs of the other Doodieman. Here I go through several different kinds of elbows and fists on the hip. I just sketch things out quickly. If I don't like them, I redo them. Rather than work them and rework them, I do it until I find something that just feels right. I ultimately settle on something that I'm not crazy about, and I actually change it later, but this was enough for me. Put that nice curved chest that matches the line of action. And even here, I tilt him back a little bit more. I make him smaller, and I want him to even go along that line of action even more. So more pride, more proudness, more chest sticking out. The two legs next to each other, I think work better, but I play with it. I put the legs a little bit apart. I see which ones work better, and I ultimately stay with the ones, this one looks like elephantitis kind of, and I ultimately stick with the 2 feet coming down to a little tiny little area so that it just feels like he's presenting, he's making a statement. Look at me, look at what I have done here. And everything is coming out of that little area right down there, the 2 feet next to each other, rather than putting the feet a shoulder's width apart. Here's where I changed this fist again. I wasn't crazy about it. Something I also like to do is I like to keep things not touching. Like right there it touched. But here I want the fist to ultimately, right there, I want that space between. See that? That nice space there between the fist and the hip. It reads as a good silhouette. And here we go. Here's the star of the show, poop emoji. That's right, folks. Now the hand, I want to draw a platter, but I kind of play with it. At first, I draw the hand as almost long and skinny like the hand, like the fingers themselves are the platter. And I play with it, and ultimately I make the fingers shorter. Now, in a perfect world, I would have had that platter not touching the fingers and have it kind of floating there. But we're not making the Mona Lisa here. It's a cartoon, it's fun, it's playful, it gets the message across. I'm just letting you know sometimes I break my own rules. And what do we got here? Whipped cream? Heck no. This is the poop emoji. And it should read nicely as a silhouette, even if there wasn't any eyes or smile. Speaking of smiles, what do we think of that? Or, right? It's all about acting. How are these characters interacting? One Doodieman is happy, the other one's proud. Is the poop emoji also happy? I don't know. I play with it. What's the story? I can change the story, but right now I'm trying to decide. Happy, lame sort of happy smile, or surprised and shocked? Scribble that one out. These are the smile was touching the eyeball. That's awful. That's awful. All these awful smiles. It's okay. No one's ever going to see them except for you. And look at the way he's floating above that plate. I love that kind of cartooning when things are light and fluffy and not touching. The elbow, or I should say the fist down on the hip is not touching. The poop emoji on the plate is not touching. It's time to fill the next Doodieman with red. Whoopsie daisies, what does that mean? That means there's 2 black lines that are not touching. See that? That little area right there, that's where the red is spilling out. If you're familiar with Procreate, you know how that works. Sometimes you got to close them. I still think about fixing that space there between the finger and the plate, keeping it all separate. But like I said, I just move on. I love it when things don't touch. I know I'm going over and over it again here, but it's okay. How do we do the red now? Will the red fit in? Let's find out. Whammo! Look at that. We got to do the third character there. But first, how do we do the D? The D again is round. It wraps around his body. It goes with that line of action. And speaking of line of action, we're going to use the same line of action on the third character, except we're going to bend him the other way. So the same line can be used to bend the character into a sad feeling. The other time we used it, we put his chest along it. Now this time we're putting his spine along it. And look at him, sad and depressed about what his doppelgangers are doing. Why is he sad? I don't know. David Lynch once said, people accept that life doesn't make sense. Why do they think art should make sense? So I go on here. I start with the elephantitis leg again here. And ultimately, I settle on some legs that are really kind of lame, but they fit the character. Not these regular size legs, but look at this. Horrible little skinny leg, but it's beautiful to me. It depicts the ultimate in lameness. It matches his arm drooping down. It's all about the acting. If he's feeling sad and lame, his body can change and morph. We can make his limbs tiny. We can make his fingers non-existent. And when again, we want to have this curve here. The curve works in both, but it works for him in the curve of sadness, and the other guy, it works for the curve of pride. I put the flesh tone behind his lips again on the next layer. And just to finish off the scene, a little more focus on the acting. We've got our three characters, and I have him looking at the sad guy like he's taunting him. Look at me, I'm presenting poop emojis, and you are not part of the reindeer games. Who in the heck are these guys? This is the video time-lapse replay within Procreate that shows every line that I drew, and I actually drew these Doodie men before I drew the one that you see. Here's this guy has crazy teeth, and then finally I started to settle on the one that I drew for you. We've got the same, everything is really the same as everything we just showed, except this is going to go way quick, and you see all the choices I make, all the Ds, you see the legs spread out, narrow, together, feet together, legs spread apart. All of it happens here within the video playback. It's a wonderful thing to do to see. You could see the choices you could make. You could slow it down. You could speed it up. This is not a commercial for Procreate. It's just me describing what a great tool it is to show and to see exactly how you thought, how someone else thought, the choices, the taking away, the adding. I wrote the word subscribe and then I didn't stick with it. And I put a little bell there. I drew him holding the bell. And that's what I'd love for you to do. Click subscribe, hold the bell, ring the bell, do the thing, bada bing. Thanks for being a fan. It's so great to hear from you guys in the comments. Please write whatever you want in the comment section. It's great to hear from you, positive or negative. It's just wonderful to really connect with you here on YouTube. And thanks for being a fan. Take care.